I'm trying a new video format for you guys. I am going to be stitching the handle patches for the crossbody strap, just so that you guys have a bit of a visual about how I do this. So I've already trimmed that 2mm off those side edges. I haven't edge painted yet, but I'll edge paint after I actually do the top stitch. You guys can do this edge paint before or after, it doesn't really matter. Just with my machine, because I do have that guard that I was talking about, so this gives me a bit of a guide to follow so that I get my seam allowance precisely 2 or 3mm from the edge. Sometimes if you edge paint before that, it will rub up against the guard and destroy your edge paint, so I avoid edge painting before I actually do the top stitch, but up to you guys, because the machine at uni doesn't have this guide on it. So again, I'm going to have the right side of my work facing me so that I can get started. And to start off with, I will go in, actually going to go in this way first and do my stitch across the base, following along my dog clip. So I've gotten to my corner now, putting my guard back into place. And here's where it might get a bit tricky, because the dog clip's going to get in the way of that the actual walking part of the foot, that back foot. So you might just need to put a bit more control, just to make sure it doesn't drop tension. So just go a bit slowly as it's passing that dog clip. And again, I'm going to get to the end. I'm probably going to take my top thread, pass it underneath so that it's kind of clean and out of the way. And I'm going to line up my last stitch with the same hole that my first stitch went in. Give it a bit of a tail. Now I'm actually going to finish that off by hand, pull that other stitch through so that I've got no threads showing on the front of my work, or my threads are on the back of my work. I'm going to finish that off by hand just by looping those last 3 threads through with a bit of a back stitch, and then I will probably pop them out through that hole there and trim them, and then that's ready to be edge painted. Do that for the other side as well, same for that guy. Then for this stitch here on the to finish the webbing, so you just want to make sure that again that you've got no raw edge here on the webbing strap, so that's folded underneath, and I've given that about 1.5 to 2 centimeters probably don't want to make it any less than 1.5 because I want to actually have the stitch width at 1.5, so maybe that fold over should be more like 1.8 or something like that, so that that box stitch there has a minimum width of 1.5 centimeters, just so that there's enough strength there for that stitch, because again this is load bearing. So I am going to stitch it from this side just because it's going to be easier. Ideally, because this is the side that's going to be visible from the exterior of the strap, probably do want to stitch it from this side, just so that the top thread is facing you. You can have a go at that actually if you want to stitch it from that side. That way your bobbin thread will be hidden in between that loop. You can give that a go, but easier to have that side facing you obviously, because you have that folded edge facing you, so you know exactly the distance. And again, that should be probably 2 or 3 mil from the edge of that folded webbing, and it's just a matter of putting a box stitch through there. Now here, because this is going to be the underside of my work, I'm actually going to pull the threads to the top. Cut enough of a tail. There, you should be able to see. I'm not sure because it's black on black, but you should be able to see there that there's a box stitch fastening that, so it's nice and flat.